I saw a video by Chris Gonnerman today talking about safety tools in role-playing games. And Chris Gonnerman is one of the kindest, best people I think we have in our hobby. He's an amazing guy, and his video was very considerate. And I thought he was thoughtful, and he made some good points, and I just wanted to give him a shout out on that for what it's worth. But I also wanted to add my own thoughts to it after listening to what Chris had to say and also listening to the debate here on YouTube. I think this is really something that has an easy solution to it, but I don't know if that's what will be arrived at in the long run. It seems to me that just out of pure consideration, and I'm speaking as somebody who you would consider a grognard. And by the way, huge shout out to Chris Gonnerman for pronouncing grognard right instead of saying grognard. He has a French friend, I guess, who told him how to pronounce it properly. Anyway, it's kind of a difficult issue, I guess, for a lot of people, but to me, this whole debate around safety tools and whether they're a good thing or bad thing, whether they're despicable or wonderful, harkens back to the early days of the hobby when you were just learning about this game and starting to play it. And in those days, what worked for us was thinking a little bit in consideration of the people who we were playing with and what we were doing. And I think that can be the kind of the rules today too. I am not a fan of written social contracts and people signing social contracts. I think for a game, that's a little over the top. I do understand there are people who have issues with a lot of things, and I have issues with some of those things myself. There are games I won't play. Like Chris, it's like explicit sexual content, that's a no. Certain types of body horror, stuff like that, that's a no. I happen to be a Christian, so the idea of having demons in my game is not something I like. I have creatures that fill that role, but they're not demons. So it seems to me that there's a couple ways you can handle this. One of which is when you're playing with your friends in the local area, these are people you know, and probably you know what their sensibilities are, and you can talk about that, and you can do your gaming according to what works for everybody. At a convention or a setting where, game store or whatever, I would do the following. If I was running a game in these days, I would make a list, taken from one of these social contracts. Here are the potentially objectionable activities that you may see in this game. Whatever that might be. His example, that people were being frozen to death. I guess that could be triggering for some people. But anyway, make a list of the things that can happen. And then if someone wants to come up and play, you can give them the list and say, here are the things you may encounter in my game. I don't have to ask you about your personal feelings. You don't have to ask me about my personal feelings. You can look at the list of things that you encounter in the game or may encounter in the game. And if it's not for you, you can just say thank you and move on. Or if you don't mind the things that the GM says may occur in his or her game, join the game. And I really think it's that simple. It doesn't have to be an issue of grognards versus Gen Z, and you're terrible because you're a snowflake, and you're terrible because you're rude and don't consider anybody, nah. Basically embody the consideration that has been at the gaming tables I've been at since the beginning of the game, and just make it easy on people. So that's my take on safety tools. Thanks for watching.